whatever brought you here today. Stay with this video for a few minutes, because if your income disappeared tomorrow, how long could you actually survive financially? Not how much money you earn, not how much money you have ever earned. The real question is, how many months could your savings pay for your essential expenses if no new income arrived? And what would happen first when the money stopped coming in? Would you struggle with rent or housing costs, loan payments, credit card debt, food and healthcare expenses, family responsibilities? Or would the first problem be that your lifestyle has become too expensive to continue without your current income? The fastest way to understand your financial vulnerability is to calculate your financial runway. If your essential monthly expenses are 60,000 Indian rupees and you have Indian rupee 6,000,000 in accessible savings, your theoretical financial runway is 10 months. But can Indian rupee 6,000,000 really support you for 10 months without income? That depends on whether your 60,000 Indian rupees monthly expense calculation includes debt payments, medical expenses, family obligations, inflation, emergency repairs, and the cost of finding or creating a new source of income. This is why calculating an emergency fund based only on your regular monthly budget can create a false sense of financial security. Your normal monthly spending is not always the same as your survival spending. If your income disappears, the first question should be, which expenses are essential, which expenses can be reduced, and which expenses can stop immediately? Housing, food, healthcare, utilities, insurance, debt payments, and family responsibilities may continue even when your income becomes zero. Entertainment, subscriptions, shopping, travel, and other discretionary expenses may be reduced much faster. This difference between fixed expenses and variable expenses can determine how long your emergency savings actually last. A person with Indian rupee 3,000,000 in savings and 30,000 Indian rupees of essential monthly expenses may have a longer financial runway than someone with Indian rupee 1,000,000 saved but Indian rupee 2,000,000 of unavoidable monthly expenses. So financial security is not determined only by the size of your savings account. It is determined by the relationship between your savings, your essential expenses, your debt obligations, and your ability to generate new income. This is also why a high income does not automatically create financial security. If your income rises, but your housing costs, debt payments, lifestyle expenses, and family obligations rise at the same time, your financial dependence on continuous income may increase. This is called lifestyle inflation, the gradual increase in spending as income increases. Lifestyle inflation can make a person who earns more financially vulnerable because more of the monthly income becomes necessary to maintain the new lifestyle. So the question becomes, how much of your current lifestyle could you maintain if your income suddenly disappeared? Could you reduce your expenses by 20%, 30%, 50%? Could you survive without taking new debt? Could you continue making loan payments? Could you avoid selling long-term investments during a market decline? These questions reveal the difference between having money and having financial resilience. Financial resilience means having enough liquidity, flexibility, skills, and decision-making capacity to survive financial shock without being forced into desperate choices. This is why liquidity matters. Money locked inside long-term investments, property, or other assets may have value, but it may not be immediately available when an urgent expense arrives. If your income disappears today, you may need cash today. That is why the question, how much am I worth, is different from the question, how much money can I access right now if my income stops? A person can have substantial assets and still face a cash flow crisis if the assets cannot be converted into usable money quickly or without a large loss. This leads to another important question. What happens if your emergency fund runs out before your income returns? Savings provide time. They do not automatically restore earning ability. If unemployment lasts longer than expected, if a business takes longer to recover, or if the job market changes, the financial problem becomes larger than the emergency fund. The question becomes, how quickly can you create income again? Your ability to earn depends on your skills, experience, education, communication, health, adaptability, and ability to solve problems that other people are willing to pay for. This means your future earning ability can be a financial asset. A person with Indian rupee 5,000,000 in savings and no willingness to learn may eventually become more financially vulnerable than a person with Indian rupee 2,000,000 in savings who can quickly develop a new skill and create another source of income. This is why saving money and improving earning ability should not be treated as completely separate financial goals. Savings protect your short-term financial runway. Skills can protect your long-term ability to generate income. And the future of earning is changing because artificial intelligence, automation, and digital technology are changing the way many tasks are performed. The most useful question is not simply, will artificial intelligence take my job? The more practical question is, if my current job or income source disappeared, which skills would help me remain useful in a changing economy? Skills involving problem-solving, communication, judgment, creativity, leadership, adaptability, and the effective use of intelligent technology may become increasingly important as repetitive tasks become easier to automate. This creates a new form of financial preparation. You can prepare for income loss by saving money. You can also prepare for income loss by increasing the number of ways in which you can create value and earn money. But even a person with savings and valuable skills can make poor financial decisions under stress. Why does financial stress make people more likely to make short-term decisions? Because when the mind is focused on immediate bills, debt payments, unemployment, or family survival, long-term planning becomes psychologically more difficult. A person under financial pressure may take expensive debt, sell investments at the wrong time, accept unsuitable work, or abandon a long-term financial plan simply to solve an immediate cash flow problem. This is why emergency savings can protect more than your bank account. An adequate financial runway can protect your decision-making ability. If you have no savings, every unexpected expense can become an emergency. If you have accessible savings, you may have more time to compare options, find better work, negotiate expenses, or make decisions without immediate panic. This also explains why debt can become one of the first things to break when income disappears. Debt repayments continue even when your salary, business income, or freelance income stops. A person who loses income while carrying large fixed loan payments can experience financial stress much faster than someone with lower debt obligations. So, one of the most important questions before an income crisis is, how much of my monthly income is already committed before I pay for basic living expenses? The larger the portion of income committed to unavoidable payments, the less flexibility remains when income falls. Income concentration creates another financial risk. If one employer, one business, one client, or one skill provides almost all of your income, the loss of that source can create a sudden financial shock. This raises the question, how can you reduce dependence on one income source? The answer may involve developing additional skills, creating a second income stream, building a business, investing responsibly, or increasing your ability to work in different economic environments. But multiple income sources are not automatically true diversification. If every income source depends on the same industry, the same type of customer, the same economic cycle, or the same skill, they may all decline together during the same crisis. Real income diversification requires understanding whether different sources of income can fail at the same time. Income loss can also create a psychological problem that financial calculations often ignore. Why can losing a job or business income feel like losing personal identity? Because work can provide money, routine, social status, purpose, recognition, and a sense of usefulness. When income disappears, some people do not only ask, how will I pay my expenses? They also begin asking, who am I if I can no longer perform the role that gave me status and security? This is where the qualities associated with Lord Hanuman become practically relevant to financial resilience. The courage associated with Lord Hanuman can mean having the courage to calculate your financial runway honestly instead of avoiding uncomfortable numbers. The discipline associated with Lord Hanuman can mean continuing to reduce unnecessary expenses, manage debt, and develop valuable skills even when immediate results are not visible. The humility associated with Lord Hanuman can mean accepting that rebuilding income may require learning something new, changing direction, starting at a lower level, or asking for help. And devotion can provide a perspective in which financial success remains important without allowing income to become the complete measure of personal worth. The Bhagavad Gita also raises a practical question relevant to financial uncertainty. How should a person act when the outcome cannot be guaranteed? The practical answer is to focus on controllable financial actions. You can calculate your essential monthly expenses. You can estimate how many months your savings can last. You can reduce unnecessary fixed obligations. You can manage debt responsibly. You can develop skills that may increase future earning ability. You can protect your physical and mental capacity to work. You can avoid depending entirely on one source of income. You cannot guarantee that income will never disappear, but you can reduce the financial damage caused when it does. So, what would break first if your income disappeared tomorrow? For one person, the first problem might be insufficient emergency savings. For another, it might be excessive monthly expenses. For another, it might be debt payments that continue without income. For another, it might be lifestyle inflation that has made a high income necessary for basic financial survival. For another, it might be the inability to create new income after the existing income source disappears. And for another, the first thing to break might be decision-making because financial stress makes every problem feel urgent. The most useful financial preparation is therefore not simply saving a random amount of money. It is calculating your financial runway, understanding your essential monthly expenses, identifying your largest fixed obligations, measuring your debt risk, protecting liquidity, improving your future earning ability, and reducing dependence on a single income source. The deepest question is not, how much money do I make? It is, if my income stopped tomorrow, how long could my savings last? Which financial obligation would become dangerous first? How quickly could I generate income again? And what can I strengthen today before an emergency forces me to find the answer? With gratitude, you can recognize the income and resources available to you today without assuming that they will continue automatically forever. With the courage, discipline, humility, and inner strength associated with Lord Hanuman, financial preparation can become more than fear of loss. It can become the practical ability to face unemployment, debt, economic change, technological disruption, and financial uncertainty without surrendering your ability to think, learn, act, and rebuild. Because if your income disappeared tomorrow, the most important question would not simply be how much money you have. The most important question would be, what would break first? And have you already prepared the money, skills, discipline, and inner strength required to keep moving when it does?